Dating in Vietnam feels surprisingly easy. You meet someone, the conversation flows, things move fast, almost too fast. Replies come quickly, plans happen easily. There's very little hesitation. And for a while, it feels like you've figured it out. Like dating here just works. But then something changes. Not slowly, not gradually. Suddenly, the same situation that felt effortless becomes confusing. Things that used to feel natural don't. And most people think they know why. They blame culture, language, expectations. But that's not actually what's happening. Because it's not that dating here is easier. It's that you're only seeing the first layer of the system. And here's why. I'm John, a Vietnamese American living here full-time. When I first started dating here, it didn't just feel easy. It felt like I had an advantage. I remember sitting at a small cafe in Saigon, tiny table, a 30,000 dong iced coffee, just over $1. We had just met. The conversation flowed. No awkward pauses, no hesitation. And I remember thinking, this is my environment. I speak Vietnamese. I understand how things work here. I'm not like the other foreigners trying to figure this out. I grew up in Southern California. I've dated, I've seen different cultures, and now I'm here, in Vietnam. And somehow, it felt like I had this edge. Like I finally knew how to move. But then a few weeks later, something started to feel off. The same kind of conversations that felt effortless before suddenly weren't. Messages that used to come quickly slowed down. The tone changed, not in an obvious way, just enough that you notice it. Nothing visibly went wrong. No argument. No clear mistake. But something definitely shifted. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't ahead of the system. I was just early in it. And despite everything I thought I understood, I was still reading it like an American. And that's when it clicked. And after that, I started noticing it everywhere. Not just with me, at cafes, on dates, even just watching people around me. Same pattern. Things start fast. Messages come in quickly. Plans happen easily. Conversations feel natural. And it's not just foreigners. I've seen Vietnamese guys go through the exact same thing. Same energy in the beginning. Same shift later. So naturally, people come up with an explanation. They say, Vietnamese dating is just more casual at first. Or maybe people here are more friendly, more open. Some think it's because of foreigners, that there's curiosity, attention, maybe even opportunity. And honestly, that explanation feels right. Because on the surface, that's exactly what it looks like. You meet someone. They're warm, engaged, easy to talk to. There's very little resistance. So it's easy to assume this is just how dating works here. But this is where that explanation falls apart. Because if it were just about friendliness, it wouldn't suddenly change. If it were just about being open, it wouldn't become unclear later. And if it were just about foreigners, Vietnamese people wouldn't be experiencing the exact same shift. So something else is happening. Something you don't see at the beginning. And that's the part most people miss. Because dating in Vietnam isn't actually one system, it's two. And they're both happening at the same time. The first system is what you experience at the beginning. It's optimized for access, low friction, fast responses, easy connection. You meet, you talk, things move quickly. That's not an accident. It reduces the cost of starting. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need a long buildup. You don't need to break the ice. The system does that for you. But then, the second system starts to take over. And this one isn't about access. It's about alignment. Not what you say, but what you signal. Consistency, intent, stability. This is where things slow down, where responses become less predictable, where tone matters more than words. Because now, the question isn't, can we connect? It's, does this make sense long-term? And that's the part most people don't see. Because the shift isn't announced. There's no clear moment where the rules change. It just happens. And if you're still operating in the first system, moving fast, staying surface level, assuming everything is still easy, you start to feel like something is wrong. But nothing broke. The system just moved to the next layer. And this is where it actually works better. Because instead of filtering people out at the beginning, it filters for the right things later. Fast access first, then selective alignment. That's the design. And that second layer isn't about dating. It's about filtering, but not in the way most people think. Because if this system started with those filters, stability, long-term plans, financial reality, most connections would never even begin. So it doesn't. It lets connection happen first, fast, easy, low friction, and only after that does the real evaluation begin. You start to notice it, not at the beginning, but after you've already gotten comfortable. After a few meetings, after things feel normal, that's when the conversation changes. Not into obvious questions, but into small, everyday details. You say you're busy with work, but then you're free every afternoon. You say you're staying long-term, but you're already talking about leaving in a few months. You make plans, but they move, or get pushed, or don't quite happen the way you said. Nothing big, just small things that don't line up. Because at this point, she's not trying to learn new information. She's checking if the information you gave her earlier actually holds. Not by asking you again, but by watching what repeats, what stays consistent, and what changes depending on the situation. You might hear things that feel casual. What did you do this week? Are you usually this free during the day? Do you normally move around this much? But they're not really questions. They're comparisons between what you said before and how you're actually living now. Because at this point, it's no longer about your answers. It's about your pattern. Whether your life is stable or constantly shifting. Whether your work actually has structure, or if it could disappear next month. Because you can say anything on the first date. But over time, your routine answers for you. And that's what this layer is measuring. Not just who you are, but whether your life can actually hold together long enough to support something beyond just you. Because in this system, stability isn't just attractive. It's necessary, not as a preference, but as a way to reduce risk. Because you're not just entering a relationship. You're entering a structure where your decisions don't just affect you. They affect what comes next. And if those signals don't line up, nothing breaks. Nothing ends dramatically. It just slows down. The replies get a little later. Plans become less certain. The energy changes. And from the outside, it feels confusing. Like something went wrong, but nothing went wrong. The system doesn't reject you. It just stops investing. So the next time this happens, you'll notice it differently. When things start fast. When conversations feel easy. When everything just seems to work. You'll know that's not the whole system. And when things start to slow down, when replies take longer, when plans become less certain, you won't think something suddenly went wrong. You'll recognize what's actually happening. You've moved past the part where connection is easy and into the part where everything gets quietly evaluated. Not by what you say, but by what you consistently do. And once you see that, a lot of things that used to feel confusing start to make sense. If you want to understand more of how Vietnam actually works beneath the surface, subscribe, because this same kind of system, where things feel easy at first, and only makes sense once you see what's really being evaluated, doesn't just show up in dating. It shows up in places you wouldn't expect. Like job ads, where companies can openly say things that would never be allowed in other countries, and no one questions it.